Ray Harris has entered the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo.
Got any dances for me this week, Tonto?
There are always dances. And I've got some props, so you'll have to wait for that.
The title of your upcoming autobiography, Dances with Props.
Actually, it's better than the one I've got, so yeah, I'm going to go with that. All right. What you been up to?
I want to figure out what to talk about today.
Oh, I got some stuff.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure how much you wanted to do on the riot and the post-riot news, and people are still being arrested. And
yeah, let's talk about all that.
All right.
Do you like my backdrop?
I do. It freaked me out at first. I'm like, oh my God, he's getting into this. He actually relocated. No, but that's yeah. Sadly, that's probably going to be the future of our country. Okay.
I don't think so.
Nose hair check. Check. All right, good.
Hold on. Fox! I'm doing a podcast. Stop playing the piano.
Dun, 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 dun.
I get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the bullshit filter. Tonto, my little Indian friend, how are you today?
I was fine until about 5 seconds ago. Thanks for asking.
Sorry, Native American friend.
That's right. 16%, something like that. I can't remember, but it's genuine. Yeah.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
You survived your weekend trip to the Beltway, I gather.
Not only did I survive, I thrived. I spent the whole weekend doing paintball. For everybody else, it was entertainment. For me, it was practice for when the country comes tumbling down. I will be ready to go. I will be ready to paintball my way to freedom. I don't know exactly what you call it, but I had a lot of fun. I've never done that before. Have you paintballed?
Now, just to be clear, knowing you, were you talking about
dipping my testicles? Oh, what are you?
Dipping your testicles in blue paint and then teabagging someone to leave evidence. Right. They wake up, they're drunk, they wake up, they got blue lips. They're like, what?
Aha, you've been smurfed.
Yeah, my boys and I have been played paintball a number of times. It's sort of an annual tradition we've done since they were 15. Cool. So we've been talking about doing it again at a different facility here. It's a lot of fun. We normally come out of it covered in bruises, like head to toe bruises. Do you have the bruises?
I got a couple, but as usual, like during sex, I give more than I get. So I'm nimble, I'm quick, but it was a lot of fun. And a lot of the balls didn't.
Hard to shoot.
I think the word you're looking for, no, that's actually right. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I can't.
No, that sounds like we should do that next time we get together as a paintball. That'd be fun. Get all of your angst out that has been building up over the years.
Yeah.
You come out with just two guns like Schwarzenegger and just you keep that on your desk. That's how you're going to defend yourself when the Civil War breaks out. You're going to be standing.
It's not the best plan. I'm working on it. This is phase one.
For people listening to the podcast of this,
Ray just whipped it out.
Lifted up a Nerf gun off his desk.
Yes, the elite. I should take a picture of myself like this with the American flag behind me. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Before we get into what's going on in Washington this week, I want to just talk about a story that I've been reading, trying to get my head around what's the truth and what's not the truth. Now, we've talked about Alexei Navalny's Novichok poisoning over the last since it happened.
Yeah.
And you know, and the story, as you know, has never really made a lot of sense to me.
Right.
It gets run in the media without a lot of questioning about how
Yes.
ridiculous it sounds. Like the first version of the story was, well, they put poison in his tea when he was at an airport. I'm like, I remember saying, well, really? How do you do that exactly? How does that work? And
we came up with several scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the last time we talked about it, I think, was when Navalny, for people who haven't heard of this before, don't remember, Navalny, Russian opposition leader, supposedly poisoned by Russian agents in an attempt to kill him or quieten him or threaten him or whatever.
Right.
And the last time we spoke about him, he is now recovered. He said that he managed to impersonate a high-ranking FSB officer and managed to call on the telephone one of the guys who poisoned him and convinced the guy to open up and tell him how he did it over the phone by pretending to be a high-ranking FSB officer who was trying to work out why the attack failed. Like this guy wouldn't immediately think this is some sort of a journalist or I'm being tricked here. Let me just ring for approval before I do this. Can I?
Can I put you on hold for a second, please?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
What's the code? Password.
Highly trained FSB assassin just going, sure, yes, Mr. Bond, I will tell you my cunning plan over the telephone before I kill you.
Isn't there a password or something? Even the Roman emperors had phrases, you know.
Yeah, best the mother in the world.
The watch, something.
And then he says that the guy told him they put it in his underwear.
Oh, the old testicle absorption assassination.
Okay. Maybe. I mean, I don't know, but
through the ani.
Two things happened this week. Navalny returned to Moscow, where he was promptly arrested, has been detained, they say for 30 days, and apparently a judge did it because he had breached the terms of his bail or equivalent. He had been arrested previously on certain charges involving money laundering, I think. He was out on bond and going overseas was a breach of that, something. Now, depending on your inherent biases about Russia, you may think, well, that's obviously all trumped up charges and the judge is working for the FSB or Putin or whatever, and the guy is innocent. If you tend to be somebody who believes Russia, you might go, okay, fair enough. The guy went overseas. You can't do that when you're on bond. Doesn't matter how fake or not the original charges were. If he wasn't supposed to leave the country, he did. Of course, his supporters are crying foul, as you would expect.
Right.
Taking a position on the legitimacy of the charges one way or the other, because I don't fucking know. And I don't have a bias in the story. But the other thing that I read this week, there's an Australian, I think he's an Australian originally, investigative journalist who now lives in Moscow and has done for like 20 years. John Helmer has a blog called Dancing with Bears, or Dances with Bears, actually, johnhelmer.net. And I honestly don't know how to take this guy. I don't know whether he's the real deal, like a genuine investigative journalist, independent investigative journalist who lives in Moscow and challenges the Western narrative about Moscow because he's there and he feels like, well, you know, it's not what people are painting it out to be, or if he's, you know, an agent of the FSB, or he doesn't even exist. He's a fake, and it's an FSB blog. I don't think he's really fake, but he's written a number of books, and one of them called The Man Who Knows Too Much About Russia. Anyway, he came out with an article the other day that says, let me just read a little bit of this. The German laboratory test results for Alexei Navalny, published by a group of doctors at the Charité Universität der Medizin, that's my German, Berlin last month, reveal a surprising number of medical symptoms, but they are not those of Novichok nerve agent poisoning, as Navalny and his supporters and Western governments have alleged. Clinical doctors, toxicologists, and pharmacology experts outside Germany believe the test results, which the Charité group released on December 22nd, reveal symptoms of acute pancreatitis, diabetes, liver failure, severe dehydration, muscular rigidity, as well as a serious bacterial infection and a possible heart attack associated with his kidney problems. According to the experts, these are not recognizable symptoms of a nerve agent attack. Now, this is his story. And look, I've tried to verify this and I really haven't been able to, because it's way over my head in terms of the medical jargon, trying to follow the breadcrumbs. So I'm saying up front, I don't have a position on this, but it's an interesting story. And it sort of reminds me of, remember when we were talking about the so-called chemical bombings in Syria that were blamed on the Syrian government,
right?
And Western media, Western governments immediately blamed the Syrians. Everyone just took it as granted the Syrians did it, even though questions were raised by independent investigators. The OPCW came out and said, no, it was definitely Syria. Then we found out a few months ago, I think it was, that quite a few OPCW investigators involved in it disagreed with the findings, refused to sign it, refused to put their names on it, and were shut up or quietened or dismissed, whatever, by the OPCW. This has a lot of the same ringtones to this thing, right? He says, the German medical publication reports Navalny's laboratory values on admission and toxicology and pharmacology results in blood and urine samples obtained on arrival of the patient at the hospital in Berlin. Accordingly, the newly available data are evidence of the condition Navalny was in during his two-way treatment in Omsk Emergency Hospital No. 1 in Russia, and of the treatment he received there, as well as during his 6-hour flight on the German medical evacuation aircraft from Omsk to Berlin. The German doctors have also released a tabulation of their laboratory test results during his stay, blah, 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 blah. Now, it says that, read their report in the British medical journal, The Lancet. A forensic analysis of the report can be read here. He's got links to both of those. You have to sign up for The Lancet and download the report, and I couldn't be bothered. But it says, assuming his summary here is somewhat correct, in their 4-page case report, Eckart and Steindl say severe poisoning with a cholinesterase inhibitor was subsequently diagnosed not by the Charité group, but by a laboratory of the German armed forces. That was the Institute for Pharmacologie und Toxologie der Bundeswehr, aka the IPTB.
Wow.
British toxicologists have repeatedly cautioned there can be many causes and sources for the cholinesterase inhibition detected from metabolites in Navalny's blood and urine, and they continue to ask the German doctors and the IPTB, name the compound. That would be a good start. In their publication of Navalny's test results, Eckart and Steindl say results of toxicology analysis conducted in a special laboratory of the armed forces, IPTB, are not included. They don't give a reason.
Right. So are we to believe that 1, he was either poisoned, or 2, he is literally falling apart from the inside? You've seen this guy on TV. I mean, I'm sure it looks like he takes care of himself. I'm sure he's got the best of doctors because he's rich. And if something does happen to him, they can always go back to, well, we did tell you earlier that he was a mess as far as all the stuff that he had going on. So I'm not surprised he's dead in our cell. We're very sorry.
Yeah, that could be part of it. You're right. Could be the setup. But I mean, this is coming out of British toxicologists questioning the findings of the German armed forces who haven't released their results.
Where were the Cambridge 5 from?
Is that a trick question? Because I'm going to go with Cambridge, but
just UK
sounds too easy, too obvious.
Yeah. Just
yeah. Well, hey, yeah, you're right. Could be. A review of these data by a clinician with specialized training in pharmacology provided a detailed interpretation of each line of data where the reported value for Navalny was either well above or below normal. The expert, who declines to be identified, reports that the sodium and chloride scores show Navalny was suffering from extreme dehydration on his arrival in the Berlin hospital. How this was possible after the German medevac flight is unknown. Goes on and on and on, questioning the findings, but yeah, a lot of medical jargon here that is over my head.
Well, it's either going to be Latin jargon by lawyers or medical terms by doctors, but the point is, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. We'll probably never really know, but for the next 30 days, I would not want to be this guy. The Russians have got him. I would not want to be him. We'll see what happens at the end of 30 days. Probably won't be pretty.
Yeah, although, I mean, look, I don't know how worried Putin really is about these sorts of guys. I'm not sure how much damage they can do to him, but
he's been in charge for 20 years. He'll be okay. Putin will be okay. Yeah.
Look, I don't put it beyond Putin to have people killed, but yeah, again, I just all of the immediate jumping to conclusions that Putin did this and Putin did that.
Yeah,
it just reeks too much of Cold War mindset, Cold War propaganda to me, and just the fact that whenever I see the media, the Western media, jumping to easy Cold War-ish conclusions and not asking a lot of hard questions, like how the fuck do you get Novichok into the tea at an airport? How did he get it into his underwear? Yeah. Did I tell you that I've actually written that into a script that I'm writing, the Novichok and the underwear thing?
No.
I'm writing a script for a film for my son Hunter to star in.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe if I ever get it made. But it's basically about an assassin. And, trying to think, because I've been thinking about this for like 30 years. I remember thinking about this first in my 20s. Like, I've always had this theory, the world's greatest assassins wouldn't make an assassination look like an assassination.
Right.
Because you don't.
Under the radar.
Yeah. If it looks like an assassination, questions get asked. Right. People with motive get hauled in. Yeah. If you're trying to take out your business partner and you're the CEO of a large company, or you're trying to take out a rival politician, or you're trying to take out so and so, you don't want it to look like an assassination. You want it to look like death by misadventure. I tell you, the reason I started thinking about this back in the early 90s, I think it was mid 90s maybe, there was the guy who was I think the CEO of the AFL or something in Australia, the Australian Football League, was found dead in a hotel room in Sydney.
Right.
Looked like he had been poisoned and robbed by a prostitute. He was, I think he was like naked. There was evidence that he'd had sexual intercourse. His wife and family were back home in Melbourne. And there was some drugs in a cup, and looked like he either OD'd while fucking a prostitute, or had been given a drink. I think it was like the drink was like half full of methadone or something. He'd been OD'd with a drink somebody had given him, whatever. And it was ruled death by misadventure and open and shut case. And immediately at the time I thought, well, that's a hit. Obviously, that's the greatest hit I've ever heard of. It's so embarrassing that the family's just going to go, oh, well, look away. We don't want
nothing to see here. We're sorry.
Yeah. And I know his son has since come out in the last 10 or 20 years and said, that something was wrong. That wasn't my father at all. Something was amiss with that. So I remember thinking at the time, okay, so the best assassins make it look messy. They make it look like, he was jerking off in a closet and he'd tied a belt around his neck, and David Carradine or Michael Hutchence, lead singer of INXS style. Yeah. There was this whole series of things. You remember when those two died within like a month of each other from autoerotic asphyxiation. It's like, you don't want to. What? No.
And so people just shut down. They shut.
Yeah. I think
I just got turned on, right?
That's an assassination, right? That's the way to do it, right? You make them
turn away.
So, and the classic, the suicide, the CEO, founder of Sweet and Low, who supposedly committed suicide by jumping off his 11th story apartment in Park Avenue a couple of days ago, 80 years old. Yeah. Guy created Sweet and Low, man. He killed himself, supposedly. And they said, well, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and he probably just wanted to end it all by jumping out of a window.
No. There's better ways
your
to go.
Your wife is in the apartment.
Right. Oh, no, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting.
No.
You never know. Only half to, but anyway, so I've written this plot line where the assassin, he watches his target, sees that he gets his suits dry cleaned at this one place, goes in, manages to infiltrate the dry cleaning place by flashing a badge, rubs some Novichok on the inside of his jacket sleeve, nice. Or shirt. He's getting some business shirts dry cleaned. You rub some Novichok in there, back out, boom. No one ever knows. So it's a useful plot point, but I don't know. It's just the tidy conclusions, the easy, cheap conclusions that media and the Western governments come to. Again, it just reminds me of the Syrian chemical weapons thing, where everyone just, well, obviously he did it. He was responsible for it. What's his face? I can't even remember his name. Syrian president. Bashar al-Assad. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. God.
Yeah. We only talked about him for like 25 hours, and now
I can only keep so many dictators, killers, whatever, madmen in my head at one point. There's a saturation point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, let's talk about your country for a bit.
Let me ask this, because last week I meant to ask you this, but it got lost in the shuffle, and I'm going to let you do this. Let's play a game. How was January 6th supposed to go if you were Trump? You tell the people we're marching on Washington, you yourself don't march. You get back in your limo and you go back to the White House. All these people show up. They make a bunch of noise. The people inside, who are the representatives and the senators, are intimidated, and they I'm because I'd love to sit Trump down and whoever else, and we'll go into some of these people, because it turns out there was a lot of people from the Trump campaign involved in various aspects of this. But I'm like, how was that day supposed to go? Someone walk me through that, where it would somehow turn out that they could overturn the election. It's madness, but I would really like to have someone explain that to me.
I think like most of the things that come out of Trump's mouth, there wasn't a lot of thought put behind it. It was just seemed like a good idea at the time.
That would work. Yeah. Okay. So step number 2, you are in Congress on that day. You're Republican, you're Democrat, you're hard Trump, whatever. It doesn't matter. A mob comes, tears their ways in, and they have zip ties, and they have a guillotine, and there's chance of hanging Mike Pence, kidnapping Nancy Pelosi. So there's a chance, even though you're Republican, you might get hurt, you might get caught in the confusion, whatever. And yet the vast majority of them still wanted to make sure that he doesn't get impeached. I mean, or at least convicted. So it's almost like the Catholic Church. What does Trump have to do, even up to the point of maybe threatening your life, for you to actually turn away from this guy? And I just don't get that. But I guess the Republicans are still afraid of his 80 million, whatever, loyal fans. So they have to be careful. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Look, because their lives were threatened too. Sorry.
Yeah. Look, I think probably a lot of Republican congressmen and women would be happy to see the end of Trump. But he's got such a massive fan base that, they're struggling to win elections as it is. If they lose, it might, his hardcore supporters might only be 10% of the GOP vote. Right. But you lose that 10%,
you lose a
fucked. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think they're between a rock and a hard place. I think they probably have always disliked Trump, the Republican leadership, because he's an outsider. He's a wild card. He doesn't play the game the way they play the game.
Right.
He was useful for a while, helped them, win the election, etc., and push through a lot of the legislation that they wanted. But at the end of the day, I think they'd like to get rid of him. They just can't be seen to be wanting to get rid of him.
Right. Oh, he's
which
gone.
is why Mitch McConnell's come out and said, well, it's a conscience vote when the impeachment trial comes to the Senate. It's a conscience vote. It's like, we're not going to tell you what to do. We're just going to straddle the fence here. And, if you decide to vote for impeachment, well, that's on you.
Yeah, between you and your constituents. I got a theory about McConnell. I think this is his last term. Everybody was worried that he was going to lose this last election. There was a bunch of money poured in by the Democrats. He won comfortably enough. He's in his 70s. Senators serve 6-year terms. I think he's like, screw it. This is my last. This is my opinion. I think he's saying this is my last time I can do or say whatever the fuck I want. And so, yeah, that's probably why, to a degree, he stood up to Trump, because he's not worried about the tomorrow. I think there is no tomorrow for Mitch McConnell, and he's just going to ride it out, a multimillionaire. He's good. He's going to be okay.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I did want to ask one other thing. Let's say for a second we have the power to go to heaven, because it's real, and we get Reagan, because that's where Reagan is at. Reagan is in heaven, and we bring him down and we go, I just want to show you what's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years. Supposedly, the Russians have interfered in an election. Supposedly a month or so ago, they hacked a whole bunch of government institutions. Supposedly they've been pushing us on issues, international. They put bounties on our troops, all this stuff. The Reagan that I know and love and revere and grew up with, would be, his first question would be, well, who's the president and why doesn't he have his foot halfway up Putin's ass? Because those are the old school Republicans. They're the ones who saw the Russians as our mortal enemy, and they had to be defeated at all costs. And now we've got the Republicans not kissing the Russians' ass, but certainly not calling them on anything. And of course, the reason for that is Trump, because Trump doesn't seem to want to push it. But so I heard someone say, where's the Republicans from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, where they would have been all up giving the Russians hell? That just doesn't seem to happen anymore. And I was wondering if you'd run across any thoughts like that, or if you have an opinion on that.
Well, I tell you who has an opinion on that is Ronald Reagan Jr. Have you heard him lately?
No.
He's been doing the rounds. I heard him on Conan's podcast. Conan got him on to have a chat with him. And first of all, thing you should know about him is he's a liberal. He told his parents when he was 12 years old that he was an atheist and wasn't going to go to church anymore. And he does a spot on impression of his father. And he started swearing on Conan's podcast like fucking Trump or something. And Conan was like, whoa, I don't know what kind of hippie household you were raised in, but we don't swear on this podcast. And Reagan said, oh yeah, my dad, my household was crazy. My dad used to walk around naked and asking Nancy where the bong was. And he goes, but I got to do it in the voice. He's like, Nancy, where'd you hide the fucking bong, Nancy? I want to get high. Check out my balls, Nancy.
I got my balls. I got a lighter. I don't have a bong. Come on, Nancy.
He is fucking funny, this guy. Like,
oh my God.
Really, really funny.
I have no idea.
It was a softball interview because Conan, despite being a history buff, he always says, is just when he does political, he doesn't do a lot of political stuff. And when he does, it's softball. Like, he didn't really challenge this guy about his father's role in creating the Republicans of today, because it was Reagan who really tightly aligned the GOP with the right-wing Christian extremists, the Christian Coalition, those sorts of guys, in order to win. And they became this extremist Christian sort of fundamentalist anti-abortion party, anti-communism, anti-abortion, all this kind of crazy stuff. Right. But according to Ron Jr., his father would just be fucking horrified by what the Republican Party has become today. He wouldn't recognize it. He wouldn't support it. He'd hate Trump and everything Trump stands for, and would put a boot up Trump's ass.
That makes me feel better. And I don't know how I feel about that, but we don't have to analyze me right now. We can do that when we're doing paintball.
But as we know, and as I told Chrissy, she listened to this Ron Jr. interview as well and was
Right.
in awe of him afterwards. And when I was talking about her father, I said, she was like, well, he was one of the good guys, Ronald Reagan, the father. And I was like, apart from the tens of millions of people who died, particularly in places like Latin America on his watch,
Right.
I told her the story that we've talked about on our Cold War show, going back into the 50s when he was the president of the Actors Union in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
And was also secretly an FBI informant and was ratting out. He'd go to Hollywood parties and listen to people chit chat over a few martinis, and anyone who said anything remotely positive about communism, he would rat them out to the FBI, and they would end up banned from Hollywood for life,
Right.
blacklisted.
Yeah.
So he was a piece of shit, Ronald Reagan, well before he became president or even governor of California, ratting out his friends and colleagues because they had different political views to him. I mean, okay, you can call him a patriot, you can call him a piece of shit, depends on your point of view there, I guess. But
yeah.
Anywho, so 25,000 troops currently stationed in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration, Ray. How many National Guard troops are normally stationed in Washington for an inauguration?
Oh, I have no idea. 10,000 for traffic duty? I have no idea.
Good guess. For the Obama inauguration, there were 10,000 troops. Trump's, there were only 7,000. I guess when a Negro was being sworn in, they thought they might have a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
A Muslim Negro, nonetheless.
Sure. Not American.
Not born in that country. But 25,000, I read that is the most troops that have ever been stationed in Washington, D.C. since the Civil War.
And what is the FBI doing to those 25,000 National Guard troops?
They are apparently trying to vet all of them to make sure they don't have extreme right-wing affiliations. I don't know exactly how you do that. Apparently, they're looking through databases.
Yeah, social media, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we know that some of the people that stormed the Capitol were ex-military and existing cops.
Yeah. There were two cops and from Virginia who were put on leave because they admitted they were there. And now, of course, they're going through all the videos to see if they were actually part of it. But they were firefighters, cops, ex-military, current military, reservists. Like Danny said, I mean, that mentality normally runs towards law, not law and order, but law and authority. Basically, the people with guns generally, are more likely to be with Trump. And so they have to go through all those guys to make sure there's not some kind of inside coup on that very day. And that is how you bring down a government.
Including the woman who got shot and killed trying to climb through the window. She was ex-military. And which makes you think, like, in all of her military training and experience, did anyone ever say, running into a dangerous situation where there are people with armed guns pointed at you trying to climb through a window,
right? Yeah,
with no air cover, not smart.
And you're the one breaking the law, so you're the baddie.
Well, were they breaking the law though? That is the question of the week.
Right. I just assumed. Right. Go ahead. Sorry.
A number of them that have been brought up on charges, their defense attorneys are saying they were invited into the Capitol by the President of the United States. In fact, many of them believe they had been ordered into the Capitol by the President of the United States. Therefore, are they breaking the law?
Hold on, I'm trying to keep it together. First of all, the judge is going to go, I see that differently. And I'm the judge. I got the black robe on and the gavel and you don't.
Is he though? No. Or she?
Well, let's put it this way. Trump can say, we're going to march down to the Capitol and we're going to defend the Republicans who are trying to make sure this election doesn't get stolen. That's one thing. Well, he did use he did use rather aggressive language. So that kind of pokes a hole in my argument. I was going to say to tell a mob to go down to a building is one thing, but he didn't tell them to storm it, but he kind of did. And Giuliani did, and Mo Brooks and his, Trump Jr. So I got nothing. I mean,
the president, I think the most incriminating comment I've seen reported that he said in his speech was, you're going to have to fight. We have to fight for our democracy. Yes. The word fight was in there. He told him to go down to the Capitol, and he told him to fight in the one speech. Yeah. He didn't say storm the Capitol, arrest, kill, loot, but he did say fight. Yeah. Yeah. And what did Giuliani say? His big
trial by combat.
Trial by combat.
Which is supposedly a Game of Thrones phrase, but there's probably several people in that crowd, hear me out on this one, who probably didn't watch all of Game of Thrones. They don't know the reference. So they're like, oh, well, we can decide this by combat. Why didn't someone tell me? Let's start marching.
Yeah.
That's what they did. Yeah. Jesus.
And in Game of Thrones, the person who requested trial by combat, I seem to recall, was Tyrion Lannister, who was a midget like you. And Trump has small hands like a midget. So I kind of get the analogy.
Yeah. But if you're well, first of all, this is a republic. It's not like it's a military state yet. But if your leader tells you to do something illegal and you do it, you are still held responsible for what you've done. I don't know if Trump's going to be, and he's really hoping he's not, but I don't think that washes, I don't think that makes them innocent.
The Nuremberg argument?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So, but as we're finding out, I mean, these people are getting hit with, what do you call it? They were on federal territory. Some of them were actively involved in the riot. They didn't disperse. And so they're getting hit with all these felonies where they won't be able to vote, ironic, and they won't be able to carry guns, even more ironic.
But look, I'm not an American. As an American, do you feel that when the president tells you to do something, you are obliged to do it?
No, because in theory, this country is all about multi-billionaire, lowly podcaster. The podcaster can tell the billionaire to kiss his ass. That's what we were raised on. Freedom of speech, freedom of oppression. The world can kiss my ass, whatever. And so, no, I don't have that mentality. I listen to Heather, you,
D'Angelo,
Fox. That's pretty much it. And D'Angelo, but I don't want to talk about that right now.
Okay, so the president, I mean, I'm sure that when Obama was president, if he'd told these people to do anything, they would have told him to go fuck himself. So it's not the office that they hold in esteem. But the second question then is, if the president tells you by their interpretation of his words to storm the Capitol, do they have permission to do it? Is it therefore now legal to enter into the building regardless of pre-existing laws because the president told you to do it? Because as Richard Nixon said, well, if the president does it, then it must be legal.
I know the president has the ability to do an executive order, but Congress makes the laws, not the president. And so he can't just wash something away or suddenly make something legal. He can within a very, very narrow degree. And so, no, it doesn't excuse these people, as they are finding out now. There was a firefighter who threw one of the fire extinguishers. Ironic. He is now in a lot of trouble. There was a guy on Friday.
Is he the guy that killed the cop?
No. They're still looking. They're still looking for that guy. On Friday, when I was driving close to DC, there was a guy who came upon a checkpoint in the inauguration, had an unregistered Glock, had 500 rounds of ammo, and he just said, no, you don't understand. It's not what it looks like. I was doing security work and now I'm leaving and I don't get DC and I'm just a country boy. And I just got lost and I drove here. I'm really sorry. They let him go. He's white. And it's because he's a white country boy. He said, no, you don't understand. I just got confused. If that had been a black man, they'd still be picking up pieces of him. And that happened on Friday. So when you're white, you can get away with a lot of things.
I read this morning that apparently the head of the Capitol Guard, whatever, Capitol Police, whatever his name is, begins with the letter S, Suda or something.
I'm not sure.
The story this morning was the Capitol Police got no instructions from their leadership that day.
Right.
The chief was with Mike Pence in a bunker somewhere when all the shit happened. He didn't give his Capitol Police any instructions about what to do. And I think that the next in charge also was silent. No one heard from him during the whole affair. The third guy, some lieutenant, was heard over one of their radios saying, "Does anyone have a plan?"
Anybody? Bueller?
And I read that the annual budget for the Capitol Police is $500 million. Oh,
wow.
It is like massive. They're a massively well-funded police force who just let a bunch of random white people with weapons take the Capitol building during a sitting of Congress. It's astounding.
That's insane. Let me add on to that. I had heard an interview with a couple of cops where they said they had finished up their shift the night before, and they just knew that they were going to be told to hang around for another 8 hours while this is going on. They were told, nope, go home. We don't need you. No extra beefing up of numbers on the streets. So not only was there not a plan in place, and again, we said last week, we knew there was going to be trouble. So not only was there not a plan in place, there wasn't even extra security out there. So, and supposedly the cops are saying they didn't hear anything from federal level security or Secret Service or anything like that. And I'm like, someone's fucked up or someone's lying or both, because we knew there was going to be trouble. And there was. I mean, that makes no sense.
Well, I read that the Capitol Police had requested some backup and support, gotcha. and were told, no, can't have it. It's not going to look good. Bad. We don't like the optics.
Right.
You
As
can't
opposed
have
to
it.
what we got. But yeah. Sorry. No ironic.
So
ironic.
25,000 troops in Washington, D.C., more than the total number of U.S. troops currently deployed in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria combined.
Well, this is where the danger's at. So
it's the real war zone.
Exactly. And they're not stopping. There's people in the FBI has been warning, and we'll get to this. I guess we can do this now, but there's been briefings given to the new members of Congress, and a lot of it's coming from the FBI. And they're like, look, we're picking up chatter. A lot of these groups are saying they will never, ever let Biden be president because he doesn't deserve to be. And so they still are going to try something between now and January 20th. And so they're giving all these directions to these new members who have no idea, they're completely freaking out. And the guy who was giving the briefing ended it with, and by the way, if you do buy a bulletproof vest, remember, keep that receipt because you can get refunded for that, or you can be compensated for that. And so these people are wanting to do hopefully a good job. They get elected, they come to Washington, and now they're being told there's a decent chance someone might kill them. And here's the various things you need to do to protect yourself. We are truly in crazy times.
By the way, bulletproof vests are tax deductible.
Tax deductible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, today I read that the Capitol was locked down for a period of time when there was smoke seen nearby. Right. And it turned out it was no problem. It was just a fire that broke out at a homeless encampment several blocks from the Capitol.
Distraction? Diversion?
There's a fucking homeless camp several blocks from the Capitol? Why do you have a homeless encampment several blocks away from the Capitol in the capital city of the United States? What the fuck? You've got a billionaire president. The incoming president is a multi-millionaire.
Right.
And he's got a son who's a crack addict, but let's not talk about that right now. There's a homeless encampment. Why is there a homeless encampment a couple of blocks away from the Capitol building in the city of the richest country on earth?
Yeah. Okay. Capitalism 101. Okay. In this country, you have the right to shoot for the stars. It helps if you're white, and achieve all of your dreams and goals, and to be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, a billionaire. But you also have the right to die homeless in the street. Welcome to America. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. We have them all over the place, and obviously it's a little harder in the winter because it gets cold. But that's nothing new. When I used to go up there to see family members, we drive by, and you just kind of avert your eyes because these people are sleeping on sidewalks and they're in cardboard constructions in parks. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. Why do we have it? Because you have that right. You have that right to be poor and destitute in this country.
So I'm sending you on assignment on January 20th to Washington to cover the inauguration for this podcast with your Nerf gun. You can take your Nerf gun. Yeah. It's okay. You're a white man. You can go strapped. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be
completely strapped.
I'll just tell them I'm a country boy who got lost. That's why I've got 500 rounds. Everything's fine, officer. They let him go. Anyway, continue.
Don't take D'Angelo, because he won't survive 5 minutes, but you'll be fine.
Or take him. Take him.
Oh, yeah. Don't shoot me. Shoot the black guy.
Shoot the big dick black guy. Sorry. Sorry.
While you're up there covering the inauguration for this podcast as our man on the ground, and I use man loosely in inverted commas, just go afterwards. I want you to go to the homeless encampment and do an interview. Interview the homeless people in Washington to see, I want to know their story. Mm-hmm. How did they end up there? What's their story? How do you end up homeless in Washington, D.C.?
Let me, I don't know. Let me try to, and I'll do this real quick. A couple of weeks ago, we drove up to Skyline Drive. It's really beautiful. It's part of the mountain range that's on the East Coast, and you can just drive for miles, and you can see for miles. It's beautiful. Near halfway along Skyline Drive, there's this old abandoned hotel. I mean, it's pretty big. It's like 2 or 3 or 4 stories, and it's multi-complexes or whatever. And we were driving by there, and we wanted to go into the parking lot to get a better view. And it turns out that there's a whole bunch of what I'll just call squatters living in this very old, very run down hotel. And there's no cars because these people can't afford cars. And they got the door. This was earlier, a couple of months ago, and it was still pretty warm. They had the doors open because it was hot, and they have nothing. They're just literally squatting in an abandoned hotel. And when I saw that, like you with the homeless camps in DC, I'm just like, capitalism should not be the center of who we are, because when you have capitalism at the center, you've got suffering on either side of it. It's insane. And I guess I just get used to it. I mean, that shook me up seeing all those people, but that's just who we are. That's normal.
So when you go to interview these homeless people, I want you to survey them to see how many of them are former podcasters. I'm guessing 50%. Yeah, at least 50, maybe more.
Yeah. Oh, those were the days.
What's your story? Yeah. Did you try and make a living out of podcasting as well? Your history podcast? Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And what they didn't do was take out their competition. We've had this conversation before, but I'm just saying sometimes some people are too popular for their own good. Anyway, we'll talk about that
later. Telegram, the private messaging app that is kind of a competitor to Signal, reported today that it has shut down hundreds of public calls for violence in the US last week on their platform.
Jesus, right? What was the name of the app again?
Telegram.
Telegram. Okay. All right.
So look, the point is that despite what happened at the Capitol last week, people aren't pulling their heads in the extreme right. They're calling for more violence. I mean, we know the FBI has been, well, it was a good start, I guess. White and privileged.
It would trial run.
Yeah, it was the beginning. And I have spent a lot of the last couple of weeks on Fox News's website, reading the comment sections. And also interested to see how Fox News was depicting the events at the Capitol, what's coming up with the inauguration, et cetera, et cetera. Are they tamping it down or are they blowing it up? They seem to be mostly tamping it down. They were initially, but now they're starting to ramp up the rhetoric again. They had Lindsey Graham on yesterday talking about how Bernie Sanders is going to he's the new chairman of the Senate Budget Committee as the senior ranking member in the Senate, and how we're going to have to fight the Democrats tooth and nail to prevent them from bringing socialism to the country, blah, 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 blah. So literally a week after the Capitol building was stormed in an insurrection, an attempted coup, Lindsey Graham is out there saying we have to fight the Democrats tooth and nail because they're going to try and bring socialism to the country. Hold on. I've been reading Fox News. I've been reading the gab.com. Don't know if you've been in there, but it's an extreme, it's like Parler. It was a platform set up for extreme right-wing free speech. Spending a lot of time in Gab, spending a lot of time in the Donald.win. I'm spending a lot of time in the extreme right forums and websites to try and get a sense of what people are saying. And the rhetoric there is extreme to the top. I mean, justification of the insurrection, the attempted coup is rife. And calls for additional violence, are all over the place. It's fascinating to watch. These people aren't like, oh shit, we stepped over the line. That was out of control. Trump has told us that there should be no violence and we want a peaceful transition. They're all like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. He has to say that, of course. He had to. He was pressured into saying that because they're trying to impeach him. But really, he wants us to take back the country. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, and I'm going to be blunt with you, probably on Friday. I was like, yeah, that attempted coup thing, that was kind of bad. It's amazing how quickly you get desensitized to it. And I'm not a member of Congress getting, various messages, being washed over with various messages. So the point is, as scary as it was, the fear in me has already passed by, which I know sounds stupid. It's like a school shooting. I should be traumatized for weeks. I'm not. And so if I'm kind of over it emotionally, those people who almost succeeded, or whatever you want to call it, they're over it too, and they're ready for round two. And every coup fails until the last one, when it doesn't. And then there's massive bloodshed and you change things.
How must it feel to be Mike Pence? What do you reckon's been going through his head for the last week?
I mean, what the, Mom, could you, Mother, I need could you hold me? I don't know. I mean, he was loyal to this guy. He was one of the first ones to back Trump, which gave him a certain amount of credibility that he didn't have. He nods every time Trump is talking. He's like, and he does the whole thing. And now Trump literally sent a mob to hang him. Awkward. I mean, what do you do with that kind of relationship? I have no fucking idea. No idea.
Our relationship is pretty tense, but that takes it to a whole. At least we're not Mike Pence and Donald Trump.
No, and I hold on to that.
I haven't yet sent a mob to kill you.
No, but I think you did send D'Angelo, and that shit still isn't fine. Okay, still not.
Look,
fine.
I just suggested to Heather one day over a drink. It might be something she could look into. That's all.
Right. You only live once. It's just something you want.
Is half an inch really all that you want to have?
I was hoping the answer was yes, but
you were a virgin when you married Ray. You really do you want to?
This is all she knows. Hey, how's that for scary? This is all she knows.
Anyway. Chrissy was asking me this morning if I think there is going to be violence on Inauguration Day, and I don't expect there to be. There might be some minor skirmishes in different parts of the country. I don't expect anything major. Because I don't think they're organized yet.
Right.
And I think the insurrection at the Capitol was evidence of that they weren't very well organized. It was just a crowd rush. Yeah. But I do think you're in a situation where the tension is so high there that it's only going to take one thing to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I felt this for a long time, going back during the year, earlier in the year, when there were all the riots over cop killings or cops killing black people,
Right.
that the tension has been rising and rising and rising. This is just the latest thing. But I was trying to think this morning of a good historical analogy where the tension in a society rose to such heights that it was a simple thing that, sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, and the whole thing ignited into a flare up. The couple that I came up with, and the thing that breaks the tension and call it, well, not breaks the tension, but overloads the system, has to be something that is sort of a spontaneous random event that isn't very well planned, but just makes the whole thing collapse. I thought of the Tea Party, in the Boston Tea Party.
Right.
And I thought of the storming of the Bastille leading to the French Revolution. Right. The basic sit downs, the refusals to go to work that led to the Russian Revolution, 1917, where everyone just said, fuck it, we're not doing this anymore. Fuck you, fuck all y'all. And the Tsar sent in the troops, and the troops went, yeah, you know what? No, fuck you. We're not doing anything about this. We're sitting down as well. Can you think of any good? I mean, Chrissy suggested, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. I was like, yeah, but it didn't really directly lead to a breaking of the situation. I mean, it slowly did, but it wasn't like everyone was like, oh, no, you didn't. That's it. We're going to war. It was like kind of like, we should probably do something about this. Do you think, should we? I don't know. And it took time to sort of evolve. But can you think of any good? Like, no one knows more about the history of revolutions than you, Ray. Fuck Mike Duncan. What did anything come to mind?
Well, I mean, this is the one that you've talked about a couple of times, but what we Southerners call the start of the Civil War. I mean, you've got tension building up. Lincoln gets elected. A lot of people want to leave the Union, and then suddenly Lincoln makes this decision about. I think is he trying to resupply Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina? And so it's just something like that. It should have been either the Southerners let it get resupplied, or maybe it would have been a very localized attack. But it's the spark that sets everything off. Okay, you hate me, I hate you. There's a bunch of tension. But now that someone's shooting, it doesn't matter who's shooting. It doesn't matter how it started. But now that there's actual warfare, when you have the tension that's already there, that is something that can make that go out. Because you were mentioning, or I saw this on the news break, there were actually several state houses and capitals on January 6th as well were rushed by armed men. A lot of the cops didn't do anything about it, even though they were clearly breaking the law. So yeah, you're right. This isn't going anywhere. It's going to happen again. It's just a matter of how it happens and who doesn't and what sets it off. And we're all going to be caught surprised together. But at the same time, we're not going to be surprised because we all know this is coming. And no one has an answer.
I don't know what the thing would look like, but it's a black swan, right? It's a black swan event. You never know. You never know what's going to happen, but something is going to happen. What form it might take, we can't really predict. But tensions are so high, it's only going to take one. I mean, I guess the other thing is probably the other analog that I have is the burning of the Reichstag. It didn't really lead to a civil war. The Nazis were already in power, but
martial law.
It provided a justification for them to crack down. And look, I'm still really surprised. He's got a couple of days left. What's the date today? 19th here. He's got a couple of days left. I was surprised that Trump didn't take the opportunity to declare martial law when he could have.
Yeah. Well, the MyPillow CEO is still saying, Michael Linden is still saying, look, this is not over with because the election was stolen. It wasn't. He is justified in either doing martial law or what's the other, the Insurrection Act that he can use. So there are people out there who are, even after everything we've been through, they're going, no, violence is the way. You just have to, it has to be authorized violence. You can't just send a mob. So it's time for martial law and to crack down. I mean, it's insane. These people aren't willing to give up.
So for people who didn't read that story, I read that the other day. So the CEO of a business called My Pillow, which I've never heard of before. Had you heard of him before that day? No. Okay.
No.
Somehow rocked up to the White House, sort of demanded an audience with Trump. Apparently he's been a supporter of Trump's.
Right.
There was a photograph somebody took of him there with a sheath of notes that he had deliberately, one might think, folded with the text outside.
Yes.
And when you zoom in on that, you go, when you take it to the 90s TV FBI lab and you say, enhance, and the computer makes those sound effects too, because
it's got to, or it's not working.
How do you know it's working if it doesn't make 80s computer sound effects?
Best.
It's like Steve Austin's Bionic Eye. For the people watching at home, not watching, Ray just did slow motion running there. It was great. And it did say declare, he was trying to get Trump to declare martial law. Now, apparently Trump only listened to him for a minute and then told him to fuck off and go see the White House counsel. What do you think that was all about?
Well, fuck off says one thing, because I've heard that plenty in my life, but go see the White House counsel, to me, sounds like it's saying the exact opposite. I don't know. What do you do with that story? I have no idea. How would you interpret that?
It seemed to me that Trump was like, as soon as the guy said martial law, Trump was like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
I'm already staring down an impeachment trial.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the company of a guy who is advocating in front of witnesses I should declare martial law.
But the pillow guy is also saying God has the plan. We don't know what it is yet, because that's how God works. All will be revealed in time. And you actually have to do this gesture, or it doesn't work. All will be revealed in time.
Yeah. I mean, the religious overtones with all of these Trumpist right-wing extremists is really like a dominionist argument. They really feel like the Dominionists.
No, tell me.
Oh, it's a movement. It's a cult within Christianity, cult within a cult. The Dominionists are extreme right-wing evangelical movement that believe there's a line in the Old Testament, Genesis, I think probably, where he said, God gave man dominion over the earth. The Dominionists believe it is their God-given responsibility for Christians to have dominion over the earth, to rule the planet. So when Jesus, okay. So when you're justified by God, because he said it in the Bible, they should have dominion over the earth. So when Jesus returns on his white stallion with his M16 grenade launcher over his shoulder, he will find he won't return until it's all of the non-believers have been purged.
We have to prepare the ground. Got you. Okay.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, and there's a big sense of dominionism from these Trumpists.
Right.
And it's been a big force. It's been a big force here for a long time too. I gave a talk here at a political rally, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, before Chrissy was here, where I was warning about the rise of dominionism in our political leadership in this country. We had increasing number of evangelical, Hillsongy, happy clapper politicians in government. And the threat, and now our prime minister is right in the middle of all of that. He is a dominionist. Anyhow.
Jeez. Where does it say in the Bible that God's instrument is going to be a man who was married thrice, banged a whole bunch of women outside of wedlock, slept with a porn star, maybe raped, he dabbled in rape. I don't know. Is it more awesome to use an impure vessel to be the spokesperson for God? It's like you're turning this person around, you're redeeming them. Does it just make it a better story for the Christians?
Remind me of the Trump rape story. I'll get to that in a minute. Before we move on from the violence, I posted a thing to our Facebook page the other day, a link to an affidavit given by an FBI agent in one of the investigations involving the insurrection.
Right.
W1, when I read this, W1 is the name of the informant that she interrogated, somebody who was at the Capitol during the insurrection. W1 stated that other members of the group talked about things they had done during the day, and they said that anyone they got their hands on, they would have killed, including Nancy Pelosi. W1 further stated that members of this group, which included Spaz, as he was known, said that they would have killed Vice President Mike Pence if given the chance. According to W1, the group said it would be returning on the 20th, which your affiant takes to mean the presidential inauguration scheduled for January 20th, 2021, and that they plan to kill every single motherfucker they can. W1 stated the men said they all had firearms or access to firearms.
Damn. Jeez.
I also
it could have been a lot worse. Sorry.
Yes.
It could have been a lot worse. Yes.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I posted another story earlier in the week from Associated Press who said, oh God, there's so many fucking ads on this site. Gee, what the I cannot. I just scrolled through.
How's your stool? Or I'm just guessing that's one of the commercials. I don't know.
There's like 27.
Hey, gots to get paid.
Ads on this fucking page, or links to stories or ads. Where's the actual story? The fucking story's gone.
They're worse than podcasters. Jeez.
Anyway, this article was talking about the fact that several members of the GOP have been heard talking about a coming civil war. Mm-hmm. So, it's sort of fascinating that this whole idea, I've been predicting a civil war in the US for a long time. It's now starting to hit the mainstream media that members of the GOP are talking about a coming civil war.
Yeah.
Well, it's escalating rhetoric,
Yeah. Oh, one of the things I forgot to tell you was when the new members of Congress were getting their briefing, one of them said the FBI, not the CIA, the FBI said, we're picking up chatter that says the next plan, and it might be on the 20th, the objective is to surround the Capitol building to make sure that no cops or anybody can get in and help these people, and either pull out all the Democrats and kill them, or make sure the Democrats can't get into the building. Only the Republicans are there. They can vote any way they want in several measures and pass a whole bunch of Republican agenda. So as we all know, that's how government works in a democracy. But literally, that's right up there with what Trump wanted. I mean, this stuff won't stand, but for them, somehow, this is a good idea and it will work and there will be no blowback. I don't get the mentality of these people that think this is going to work long term. I know they're angry. I get that, but this is not how you officially pass laws in this country. But that's some of the things those people have to worry about. And yeah, mass murder of elected officials, that's civil war.
So getting to the rape Trump story, I read this on the weekend. So two of the women that are suing Trump for rape, E. Jean Carroll is one, and the other one's first name is Jill. I can't remember her surname. But E. Jean Carroll, who's a journalist, interviewed the other woman recently. I think it's in Vanity Fair or somewhere like that. Quite a lengthy article about these two women talking about their rape stories. Right. The other woman that Jean interviewed, fascinating story. She grew up in the country, beautiful young girl, beauty queen. Got married at 16 to a guy twice her age who had a magazine, like a car magazine that he self-published. Right. They ended up setting up their own beauty pageant. And I think this is in the mid to late 90s. They contacted Trump to try and get his support for their beauty pageant, wanted to run it at one of his Atlantic City casinos, wanted to put his name on it. He had a meeting with them, was immediately apparently attracted to the wife. She would have been, I think, late teens at the stage. She was only married to this guy for a few years, so it happened between 16 and maybe 20.
Right.
Trump, in front of her, in their first meeting, told the husband that he was attracted to his wife and asked if they were fucking, and invited them out to dinner that night. So they go to dinner, according to her story. Her husband, they're sitting at a table together. Trump's sitting next to her. Her husband gets up to take a photo of her and Trump sitting at the table. While he's taking the photo, Trump runs his hand up her leg and puts a finger inside her pussy.
Right.
While her husband's taking a photo of them.
He was just making his intentions clear. That's called communication.
And she says, like, in a situation like that, you obviously have two choices. You can slap him, right, and thereby the deal is over, or you can grin and bear it and try and get the deal signed. She was young. She was naive. She really wanted to get the deal done. She knew her husband really wanted to get the deal done. So she just tolerated it. Didn't tell her husband. And this went on. So then Trump invites him to Mar-a-Lago, here or there. He's always trying to get her into the bedroom, into a closet. He's trying to fuck her. She keeps saying no. He doesn't take no for an answer.
Right.
At one point, she says he took her into a bedroom at Mar-a-Lago while her husband was distracted talking to Jeffrey Epstein. And he got her on the bed, threw her on the bed, held her down, unzipped his pants, tried to stuff her hand down his pants, while he was just telling her, listen, I'm going to be the best lover you've ever had. You know, you'll be totally ruined after me. I'm the greatest lover of all time.
I got to write this down. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, the story, look it up. It's horrifying. It's a lengthy, horrifying, like mind-bogglingly horrifying read. And if it is true, the suggestion is that Trump has been seriously broken as a human being for a long, long time. Like I've often said, if you go back and you watch interviews with Trump from the 70s and 80s, he doesn't seem batshit crazy. He's like a sleazy rich kid. Right. Daddy made him rich. You know, he's like, Richie Rich. Spoiled brat, Richie Rich.
But not insane.
But not batshit crazy insane. Right. No.
Yeah.
And he seems to have become increasingly insane when he was doing The Apprentice, and according to reports from people on set, snorting a lot of Adderall because he can't read and he can't concentrate very long. And the Adderall was supposed to help him focus long enough to be able to read his cue cards and stay tuned in on set, and also to help him lose weight so he didn't look like a fat pig on camera.
Right.
So, and then he became addicted to Adderall and God knows what else. And, and sort of became increasingly lunatic. And then also, I've often assumed he started to realize when he did the whole wrestling thing, he would appear on WWE, playing a persona based on himself. That The Apprentice thing, realized this sort of extreme angry white man thing worked for a certain demographic. If you take that classic wrestling wrestler persona about fuck you, I hate you all, I'm the greatest in the world, I take on everybody, you combine that with his apprentice persona and the rich playboy thing, and you put it all in a blender, there's a market for that. And he, listened to Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck and Alex Jones. And so you take a bunch of their rhetoric, which was working for them, appealing to the extreme right-wing white religious groups. And then you add the wrestling persona, or that it go, and he figured out, well, fuck it, this works, that it was a cynical, was a cynical, I'm going to take all of this. But if he was, running around trying to rape women and in the 90s, the way that these stories depict, fuck me, man. Like, so Jean Carroll, like the title of her article was, I tried telling this country 5 years ago that Donald Trump doesn't take no for an answer. And he raped me, and now he's raping, then he raped the country, basically.
That's brilliant. Yeah. But he can talk whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants, but he comes into the White House. They lose the House of Representatives. They lose the Senate, and now they've lost the White House. So he can brag about being a winner all he wants, but by the time he's gone, the Republican Party is going to be bereft of power, and that's all any politician cares about. So they're not, like you said, they're not going to be sad to see the back of him go.
Yeah, they could have, they should have got another 4 years to carry out their dirty agenda, which they've now lost as a result of him. He brought them victory, but also brought them a disaster.
Yeah.
Just the finishing point to the rape story is her court case against him, Jean Carroll's for Trump, for the rape case against Trump, I think got stalled by the Department of Justice. Trump, a judge sort of found in favor of her. It was appealed by lawyers for the DOJ because Trump was the president. She's saying that once he's out of office and there's a new DOJ, that should go ahead again. So not only 2 days from now, he's not only going to be facing the Southern District of New York's going after the Trump organization with all of the evidence that they got out of the chief financial officer and the chief lawyer, Michael Cohen, when they, agreed to give evidence as part of the Mueller investigation. God knows what they've got him. At the very least, you have to think there's tax evasion and fraud, possibly money laundering. Yeah. And now that Deutsche Bank have publicly announced they're never doing business with Trump again. I know Deutsche Bank have also handed over a bunch of stuff to the Southern District of New York AG. So he's got a massive fraud trial, money laundering, tax evasion coming out of New York, which he can't pardon himself for, even if he wants to, because it's not a federal crime. It's a state-based thing. Right. He's got these rape charges coming at him as well, which sound like they've got some serious legs. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting period.
Yeah. Trump is not going anywhere as far as the limelight is concerned, but I think we're going to enjoy this half of the story.
And then the impeachment thing's going to go, whether or not he gets impeached, we will see. But then. Yeah, you got to think that some of these people that are being charged, particularly if somebody gets charged with the murder of the officer, if Trump can be brought in on civil charges for inciting a riot.
That's right. There's always civil charges. Ask OJ.
Yeah,
they can bring him down.
It's going to be fascinating, and of course, any of this happening to Trump is just going to make his supporters even more furious and rampant and just screaming bloody murder.
Oh, did you see the guy who wore the horns? He's already asked Trump for a pardon. So that ought to be interesting. We'll see what happens there.
Well, Trump is apparently giving out 100 pardons on his last day.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been asking him to pardon Julian Assange.
Right. The one he should do.
I doubt Julian will make the cut though, because there's nothing in it. There's no, he's going to pardon anyone who can do him a favor. I don't think Julian's going to be able to do him a favor moving forwards. He's kind of broken, I think.
I know we're running over, but I'm sure you saw that Rudy Giuliani is not going to get paid his $20,000 a day legal fees, and he can't be Trump's lawyer because he's going to end up being a witness in Trump's impeachment trial. So this ought to be a whole lot of fun for some of us.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Stay safe. You got your Nerf gun at the ready. You'll be fine. And Ray just nearly shot himself up the nostril with a Nerf gun.
Wet myself. Anyway, sorry.
I guess we'll be back next week to talk about what happened at the inauguration. Hopefully. I'll be back next week to talk about what happened in the inauguration. I mean, you may, or depending on what happens, you may or may not be. Are you too old to get if they bring back conscription?
I'm past.
If they need anyone small enough to get down into like a rat hole and rat line and deliver stuff, you're the first guy they're going to turn to. Yeah.
What's the pay? We'll talk later. All
right, that's the show.
All right.